Hi guys, in CWQ here, and if I sound a little out of it today is because I have pneumonia. So anyways, you guys, I have an article for y'all, and this article is about scientists resorting to a once unthinkable solutions to cool the planet, and it states that um, these geoengineering approaches were once considered taboo by scientists and regulators that feared that tinkering with the environment could have unintended consequences. But now researchers are receiving taxpayer funds and private investments to get out of the lab and test these methods outdoors. The shift reflects growing concern that efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions aren't moving fast enough to prevent the destructive effects of heat waves, storms, floods made worse by climate change. Geoengineering isn't a substitute for reducing emissions, according to scientists and business leaders involved in the project. Rather, it is a way to slow climate warming in the next few years while buying time to switch into a carbon free economy in the longer term. Three field experiments are underway in the US and overseas. This month, researchers aboard a ship off the northeastern coast of Australia, over here, near the Whitsunday Islands. Let's see where that's located. And it's near the Whitsunday Islands, so and I guess this is here. The Whitsunday Islands is here. Yep, Whitsunday Island. So it's near this area here. They are spraying a briny mixture through high pressure nozzles into the air in an attempt to brighten low altitude clouds that form over the ocean. Scientists hope bigger, brighter clouds will reflect sunlight away from the Earth, shade the ocean surface, and cool the waters around the Great Barrier Reef, while warming ocean temperatures have contributed to massive coral die-offs. And that's where they've had massive coral die-offs at. The research project, known as Marine Cloud Brightening, is led by Southern Cross University as part of the $64.55 million or 100 million Australian dollars reef restoration and adaptation program. The program is funded by the partnership between Australian government, Reef Trust, and Great Barrier Reef Foundation, and includes conservation organizations and several academic institutions. In Israel, a startup called Stardust Solution has begun testing a system to disperse a cloud of tiny reflecting particles about 60,000 feet in altitude, reflecting sunlight away from Earth to cool the atmosphere in a concept known as solar radiation management, or SRM. Yanni Yedvab, Stardust's chief executive and former deputy chief scientist at the Israel Atomic Energy Commission, wouldn't disclose the composition of the proprietary particles. Yedvab said Stardust has raised $15 million from two investors and has conducted low-level aerial tests using white smoke to simulate the particles' path in the atmosphere. After the company completes indoor safety testing, it intends to conduct a limited outdoor test of the dispersion technology, monitoring devices and particles in the next few months. In Massachusetts, researchers at Woodhull Oceanographic Institute plan to pour 6,000 gallons of liquid solution of sodium hydroxide, a component of lye, into the ocean 10 miles south of Martha's Vineyard this summer. They hope the chemical base will act like a big tablet of Tums, lowering the acidity of a patch of surface water and absorbing 20 metric tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, storing it safely in the ocean. From what I know about lye is poisonous. Okay. When you have heartburn and you eat a Tums, that dissolves and makes the liquid in your stomach less acidic, said Adam Subhas, an associate scientist at WHOI, and project's principal investor. By analogy, we're adding this alkaline material to seawater, and it is letting the ocean take up more CO2 without provoking more ocean acidification. Everything that we're seeing so far is that it is environmentally safe. The $10 million project known as Ocean Alkalinity Enhancement is funded by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, two philanthropies, and several private donors, Subha says. The release of sodium hydroxide, which will require the approval of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, is planned for August. Experiments aimed at cooling the atmosphere by reflecting sunlight away from Earth are an attempt to mimic what happens when a volcano erupts. In 1991, Mount Pinatubo, an active volcano in the Philippines, spewed sulfur and ash into the upper atmosphere, lowering the Earth's temperature by 0.5 degrees Celsius, 9.9 degrees Fahrenheit, for an entire year. But until a few years ago, many scientists opposed human intervention, fearing a slippery slope that would allow society to avoid making tough decisions about reducing emissions and could ultimately backfire. It is very easily it very easily becomes an excuse for not doing all things that we already can do and that we know will work, said Don Jorgensen, Denmark's Minister for Global Climate Change. When we start interfering with nature, we risk it also having many very negative consequences that we cannot control and that we cannot foresee. Intervention is needed, Jorgensen said, but we need to be extremely careful how we do it. Danielle Visioni, assistant professor of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at Cornell University, echoed that sentiment. Now we're at the point where the choice isn't between yes or no about doing SRM, but between making an informed decision versus making it an uninformed decision, Visioni said. The Natural Academy of Sciences released a study in 2021 advocating a cautious approach to studying solar geoengineering technologies, and a second report in 2022 reviewed various methods of storing carbon dioxide in the ocean. In 2023, the White House issued research guidelines for injecting reflective particles into the atmosphere and brightening clouds, concluding that the technologies offer the possibility of cooling the planet, but also carrying unknown risks such as depleting the protective ozone layer, harming marine life, damaging crops, or altering rainfall patterns. And this month in Nairobi, Kenya, delegates to the United Nations Environmental Assembly will debate a resolution to consider the risks and benefits of solar radiation management. The goal behind this year's field experiments in the US, Israel, and Australia is to address some of these questions and get information about whether these projects could lay the foundation for large-scale efforts to cool the planet. They are answering really important questions about if we were to spray sea salt into the atmosphere. Michael Diamond, assistant professor of meteorology and environmental science at Florida State University, say about the Australian cloud brightening experiment. Would that make it to the clouds? Would it stay up there? Can you get enough brightening to make a difference? For any of these projects to go from field trial to full-scale global deployment, it would require international cooperation and likely cost trillions of dollars. This scenario is years away. There are huge political hesitancies to do outdoor perturbative experiments, said Jessica Seddon, a senior fellow at the Yale Jackson School of Global Affairs. It's going to take some extraordinary bravery to acknowledge that in certain circumstances, those experiments will be needed, have informational value, and should be constrained, but not banned. Anyways, you guys, my thinking. Well, there was Elon Musk at one point was talking about darkening the sun. So it makes me think about that when he was talking about how he wanted to darken the sun. Um, Hang on a second. He wanted to dim the sun to cool the planet. Um, this was a few years ago. And then you've got Elon Musk has stated that humans must leave Earth because the sun is becoming too hot. Um, there's a lot of different ideas about how to cool the planet down. And we'll see what they intend to actually do. Anyways, you guys, much love. God bless. And I hope y'all have a great afternoon.